What is up, everybody? It is the BetQL Market Watch right here on BetQL. I'm your host, Tony Jaxon. And tonight, what we're going to do is we are just going to talk about NFL props, NFL future props on this show. Um, as always, make sure you like and subscribe. Get over to that YouTube channel because that's where we are going live. Okay. Make sure you get your comments in. Make sure you get what are your best NFL futures that you like right now. We're going to talk 5 big ones that we like tonight. Usually we do a mix of different things, but tonight is just going to be strictly for NFL. That's it. NFL. Very, very simple. NFL. Because listen, we all know that NFL is king, right? We all know that the NFL continues to just give us everything that we want. And on top of that, man, preseason, listen, I know everybody likes preseason, but for me, honestly, it's really hard for me to watch sometimes. It really is. It's very, very vanilla, right? It's very dry. I mean, I just had my coach. Sorry, I'm like my one-man show here. I'm sitting here liking and sharing and retweeting and doing everything on my own here, right? But I just had my own coach talk about, yeah, we ran a vanilla system. We really didn't do much, right? And when that happens, right away, you start thinking about it. You're like, what am I watching? What am I watching? My man Japan checking in. What's up, Japan? Again, as always, Japan, this is the big NFL show. We're going to talk 5 NFL props, okay? And I have a vote over there make sure you go follow at BetQL app on all social formats. So on X, I have a vote up there asking what is your favorite out of 3. If you could only pick one of these 3 NFL future props, what would they be? And that is Bijan, okay, his over 1174.5 rushing. Is it JSN over 1324.5 receiving? Or is it Jamar Chase over 1324.5 receiving? Very, very, very interesting, if you ask me. Very, very, very interesting, if you ask me, because listen, I got 5 ways. Japan says I have 5 ways to bet Shakir. He says I picked Bijan. Listen, I think, I and we're going to get into it. We're going to break it all down. But I definitely think that the Bijan play out of these ones that we mentioned are going to be probably, the Bijan one might be the most juicy, honestly, because, and I'm going to break it down in a second. Because again, we've talked about what's going on out there in Atlanta, and we talked about obviously the head coach. So we're going to get into that. We're going to break it all down. Again, it's the BetQL Market Watch. I'm Tony Jaxon. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, get over to that YouTube page, okay? Because listen, NFL is cooking, NFL is heating up, and we're heating up all over the place over here at BetQL. Again, right now, make sure you get over to BetQL, get your 3-day trial, and then you'll get 20% off of any membership that you pick. So let's get right into it. Okay, let's get right. But before we breaking news, okay, this is not from a fantasy perspective, but breaking news before I got on here live tonight that football lamb, the Dallas Cowboys, they signed Von Miller. Von Miller signs a one-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, I'm not going to get too much into it because where it's all 5 NFL props, but it's a big deal, right? He is listen, whether he plays, 10 snaps, whether he's obviously he's a defensive specialist at this point of his career, but with leadership and ability and experience, it's a good pickup. Even though, I am a Philadelphia Eagle guy, I bleed green, fly Eagles fly, and I think all Cowboy fans are cockroaches because that's how I've been brought up. But at the end of the day, guess what? At the end of the day, it is a good pickup for them because I could see, right? I am a firm believer that, listen, if you make a good move, you should get respect for it. So let's start right off and let's bring up the first prop of the night, the first NFL future prop that we're talking, and that is going to be, listen, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase right now, over 1324.5 receiving yards. Okay. It's very simple question. Are we buying it? Are we trashing it? Because all 5 of these are overs. Okay. I'm looking at the over. All right. So we're just going, look, based on the over, are you buying the over or are you trashing it? Okay. Because I'm not playing unders. So listen, are you over or are you trashing it? Okay. So here's what I will say about Ja'Marr Chase. To get this number, okay, and again, to get this number, this is his highest ever. It was 2024 when you remember it's 1,700 yards. The interesting thing is he had 1,700 yards in 2024 on 175 targets. Now in 25, he had this most targets ever at 185, and he had 1,412 yards, 300 yards less, but he had 10 more targets. What does that all mean? It just means that they're utilizing him in various formats instead of just the go long and go deep guy. He's being used in wide receiver screens. He's being used in little skinny posts. He's being used in slant. All this more often. And why is that? Comes back to one thing. Comes back to protection of the quarterback. The one thing the Cincinnati Bengals have always lacked is protection of their quarterback. Listen, the first friggin' offensive play of the preseason, Joe Burrow gets sacked. How does that happen? I feel like we sit here every single year in Cincinnati and we, talking about Cincinnati, say, what's up? What's up with their offensive line? Okay. We say it all the time. Another thing last year was his average was down. Obviously, right? If his yards are going to be down, but his targets are up, obviously it's just common math, right? His average is going to go down, which was down to 11 and a half yards per catch from 13 and a half. Now, that was a historic season in 24, right? So the obvious regression will obviously work. But whenever they bring T. Higgins back, which I was actually surprised, okay, that they brought T. Higgins back. So that gives him a huge, huge compliment. And at times, T. Higgins may be the number one guy. Okay. After that, you got a Sovius, you got Tinsley, right? You just got a bunch of okay guys. So this is still Ja'Marr Chase's team, right? Still Ja'Marr Chase's team. So when I look at this number, honestly, I don't think this is a hard number to get to. I really don't. Honestly, I really, really don't. Because if you look at his actual game log from last year, okay, there's a few questionable games. Week 1, he only had 26 yards. Okay. Week 4, he had 23 yards. And then there was one game, I think at week 11, he had 30. And then week 14, he had 44. So he has 4 games, okay, 4 games that are under 50 yards. The rest are all above. He had 2 huge games in the 160s, 165, 161. My point is, if he can hover around 85 to 90 for the betterment of most of the games, this is a very easy number to break. And based on his targets and based on the way this offense is still going to be predicated, the biggest detriment is going to be Joe Burrow not having enough time to get him the ball. But like I said, the thing is, they've actually brought back in, those bubble screens and those short passes, giving him the Ja'Marr Chase. But he does have a high yak, right? He does have on those breakaway plays. So I think 13-24, to me, I'm going to keep this one. Okay, I'm buying it. I'm buying the 13-24. Okay. I don't know about you, but I'm buying it. That's where I'm at. Now, on the other end, let's keep it in receiver lane, because I thought it was very, very interesting that both of these guys had the same number. Okay. And the interesting part about this is what we were talking about in 2024 for Ja'Marr Chase. And let me bring it up. Now, in 2024, we were talking about Ja'Marr Chase having the most yards of his career. Well, last year, we're talking about JSN having the most yards of his career, right? A big reason for that is obviously that offense that was run by Clint Kubiak, who is now in Vegas, right? But again, Sam Darnold continuing to take the next step in order to obviously win the freaking Super Bowl, right? JSN was such a huge part, the main part of that offense. But when you look at it, you go 1,793 yards. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a little regression. You can't listen, I love JSN, but he's not getting 1,800 yards this year. Okay. He's not taking 1,800 yards. But the thing is, I'll tell you what I like. And I know people are going to be a little different in this, but I like one full year of Rashid Shaheed. I think Rashid Shaheed is such a difference maker for this offense because what he does is he gravitates attention away from JSN, right? Because of his ability to stretch the defense, right? Listen, Cooper Kupp, we already know what Cooper Kupp is at this stage of his career, but you have a speed guy in Rashid Shaheed that's going to open up opportunities even more for JSN. Meaning, I'm not worried about the blanket coverage on JSN this year because I think that as long as Darnold can stay consistent, he'll be able to stretch the field, and that's just only going to do more for JSN's case. Again, remember how other offenses are predicated, right? You look at Dallas with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, right? You look at Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Now, obviously, JSN and Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed is nowhere near the number 2 status of any of those guys that I mentioned. However, the scheme that they will be able to employ as long as he stays healthy, because Rashid Shaheed has had issues with hamstrings in the past. As long as he can stay healthy, he will stretch the field, give JSN multiple opportunities. I know a lot of people talk about Super Bowl hangover. You hear a lot of people talk about Super Bowl hangover, and I get it. I think it is real. Okay, I do. I think it is real. But I just watched how good and polished JSN looked, and I know it's a big step because I am a huge Clint Kubiak guy. And I just think his offense is so good, right? His offensive mind is so good. I mean, listen, we've talked about it before. He has that lineage from his dad. Okay. It's the Shanahan factor, right? Just like Kyle Shanahan. But the thing is, I think Kyle Shanahan's even a more polished offensive play caller than Mike Shanahan ever was, right? But when you look at the lineage of Kubiak, I think, listen, Kubiak really had a huge hand in everything last year when it came to this offense. But the other thing that I like is, Kenneth Walker, they allow Kenneth Walker to leave, goes to Kansas City, which means I think this is going to be an even more pass heavy attack, right? It really is. I think this will be more pass heavy attack this year. You take away a lot of those runs, and even if you take them all away and you take about 25% of those runs and you turn them in to passing attempts, that's just going to go well for JSN. So I think if this number to me was 1,400, I would trash it. But based on how well and how polished, it looks, listen, to stay in Seattle and look at baseball, this to me, this isn't a Cal Riley kind of experiment where the guys that had 61 year hit 10 home runs next year, right? I don't see that happening. Right? This wasn't a whim that JSN just decided to go off. We knew we had the ability. We didn't expect it to happen as fast. Okay. However, watching it, it wasn't a fluke, right? It wasn't a fluke. Yeah, he actually did, Japan. He actually did. Japan checking in. Japan says, did AJ approve? For those who don't know, AJ is my son, who actually last year we were doing some content together, and he told me that his number one guy last year was JSN. And I told him he was crazy. And he proved that crazy, right? Maybe he should be doing these shows. I don't know. So yeah, so I'm gonna buy JSN. over 13, 24.5. I really am. I'm going to buy this. I like it. And I don't know. What do you think? You buying it? You trashing it? I really, really like this number. Really like this number. And just to give you a little a comparison to how we were talking about Jamar Chase, who had 1,400 last year. You look at the games with JSN. I mean, you're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games over 100 yards. Okay, he had one game, and again, if you just saw regular season, let's just talk regular season. He had one game in a regular season that was under 75 yards or 70. One game. And that was week 13, where he had 2 catches for 23 yards. The rest, forget about it. This dude was a machine. He was an absolute machine. So again, hasn't missed a game, right? 3 years, hasn't missed a game. All 17. So again, this continues to be an offense built around JSN, and even more so now without Kenneth Walker. So I'm going to buy in to the JSN hype train this year and the future. Let's start. Let's go quarterback. How about we look at Josh Allen? Japan, you're going to look at this because you are a Buffalo guy. Okay. I got to ask, man, this number really, really low to me. I was surprised. Again, I know that James Cook had a phenomenal year. Okay. And I know that there were some questions about the receiving core, but they do bring in a DJ Moore this year, right? They do bring in a DJ Moore this year. So they give him, a weapon to kind of listen. He's not going to just automatically give you Stephon Diggs type of, type of production, but he's going to give you another weapon. Okay. He's going to give you another weapon. So I think, again, DJ Moore helps. You still have Khalil Shakir out there, right? We don't know what's going to go on with, Keon Coleman. I still am a huge Dalton Kincaid guy. This number came real low to me. Now, at first on the onsets, I'm going, this is crazy, right? But you always have to dive deeper into things. And listen, I know there's a head coach change, but it's not like a different philosophy because the guy was already there calling the offense anyway, right? So it's not that huge of a difference. But I look at this and I say to myself, Buffalo every year was just constantly relying on everything Josh Allen. I mean, you just look at the rushing touchdowns. He had 14 rushing touchdowns last year. Okay. Year before that, 12. Year before that, 15. But his yardage has dropped every single year. Oh, like since 2023, right? That was when you go 4,323, it's like 24, 30, 37, 31. 25, 36, 68. Touchdowns, 29, 28, 25. You're seeing a pattern. Okay. You're seeing a pattern. Now, when a team is supposed to have Super Bowl aspirations and they fall short under a guy like Josh Allen, eventually, I think, in my opinion, when the new guy comes in, even though, again, Joe's a part of that system, still saying, okay, what can we do differently? Because what we have done up to this point just hasn't worked, right? So I look at that and I go, okay, if at all possible, even though James Cook had a great year, do we rely more on the running game? Do we rely more, again, on Josh Allen or less on Josh Allen? And I think we rely more on Josh Allen, but more on Josh Allen when it comes to his legs. There's been times that he's been very undisciplined with the ball. And I think a lot of that came out of frustration right? You're trying to make things happen. Now, again, he goes from only having 6 picks in '04 to throwing 10 in 2025, coming off of 18 his most ever in 2023. Okay. So looking at this number, 24 and a half, very interesting number. So that's basically saying that he needs to hit the same number he had last year, which was 25. I honestly, if I'm looking at this realistically, I think 3 of those touchdowns, okay? I'm going to take 3 off the 25 he had last year, and that's going to bring me down to 22. I'm going to give 2 of those touchdowns to the running game, whether it be James Cook or whoever. Okay, I'm going to go 2 touchdowns to the running game and 1 touchdown to Josh Allen with his legs to get him back up to 15 that he was in 2023 last year. And that's why I'm actually going to trash this play because I would be taking the under. Okay. I would be trash this play. I don't think I'm not buying this at all. I'm not buying it. It tells me something. Okay. It tells me something. You hear people say all the time, what do the books tell you? What does the line tell you? This line told me something. Right away, I think everybody just thinks we're gonna jump on it because of DJ Moore. Okay. I'm not really buying that. Okay. And just so you know, I think you get more deception in this offense, which could go away from Josh Allen throwing the football to maybe some red zone looks to where we're having Khalil Shakir throw the football again, DJ Moore throw the football. Okay. Like, I just think that a lot of this is going to tail off. Remember, I'm just saying 3 touchdowns. I think you have a 3 touchdown drop off. And I think that brings you on to 25. So that's just where I'm going. So I'm gonna trash this play. Right. You're right. I like it and I get it. Japan, I get it, right? Joe Brady, I get it. But again, I'll say this. My point is when you've been doing the same thing for X amount of years and it hasn't gotten you the chip, eventually you got to change up. Eventually, you got to say to yourself, we got to do something different. Right? You got to do something different. And I think that, that could be relying on a different kind of scheme, right? A different kind of scheme. And I think that's, like I said, I'm taking 3 touchdowns off. I'm giving 2 to the running game, and I'm giving 1 to Allen on the ground. And that's going to bring me under the 25. So that's where I'm at on Josh Allen. This is one I'm trashing it. Okay. And again, make sure you get over to the BETQL YouTube page. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Everybody checking in. As always, get your comments in. What do you like? Get the comments in under after the show if you want. Right? Are you buying the play or are you trashing the play? Let me know. This is the 5 NFL props that we're really looking at, right? Their defense can't do anything in the past, but no, I get it, right? Trust me, Japan. I think this could go either way. Honestly, I think this is the one play with Josh Allen that can go either way. I just looked at a lot of these, and this is one of the ones I'm deciding to trash. That's all. I'm deciding to trash this one. Now, let's take another quarterback. And we're going to look at Drake Maye. Drake Maye. Listen, we all know what's going on in New England. We know the Mike Vrabel story. We get it, right? They bring over A.J. Brown. We understand it all. Drake Maye, phenomenal year last year, right? We all know that, right? 505 attempts. 492 attempts. Almost 500 attempts for Drake Maye. Right? That's a lot of throwing. Okay? That's a lot of throwing. Last year, 43.94 on the yards for Drake Maye. I was absolutely shocked at this number. I was shocked at this number. Over 37.99. I was a little surprised. I looked at this number and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, something seems off to me. Okay. So, and that's the thing. Like when you look at these and you try to envision right away, like, why does it look off? Right. And I say all the time, it's like, what is the line? I don't know what it's telling me. right? Because, I'm looking on, I know there's a lot, again, we know there's a lot of drama, right? That's one thing. There's a lot of drama out there. And I get that completely. There is a lot of drama out there in New England. However, there's a lot of good things that can come out with this second year rise, in my opinion. Now, we're going to call it a second year. I know it's not his second year playing, but just like his second year in the you know in the real big leadership role out there, being trusted, as the guy. It was like his rookie year. There was highs and lows, obviously, but it was 72% completion percentage last year. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze about, right? That's nothing to sneeze about. That's big time. I mean, there's a reason why they were there at the end, right? There's a reason why they were there at the end. But I was looking at this number and I just kept saying to myself, why is it? Why is it? Because when you go through these futures, I always say this is, to me, this is where you make your money. Okay. Now, what I found though is this number has been, again, getting juiced up a little bit. And that's how you can tell that it's good. There's two guys, and we don't have any bets on him for this show, but there's two guys that went from -110 to -120, and that's Drake Maye and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is over 36.49, and Drake Maye is over 37.99. So I look at this number and I'm like, wait a minute. Now, this is a misprint. It's supposed to be 42.76. Not it's actually, no, it's supposed to be 43.94. I don't know why I have it in there, but again, that's a misprint on me. I apologize. But last year, last year was a huge year for him. Okay. He had 43.94 last year. So even with regression, which, listen, 72% completion percentage is a big number. It's a big number. Okay. I'm going to tell you, man, what he did last year was extremely special to me, just based on who he had around him. Stephon Diggs was not the guy, right? He wasn't that guy no more. He regressed dramatically. You're throwing the guys like Kayshon Boutte. Okay. And I like Boutte. I'm just saying, Drake Maye, just his efficiency is what made that offense go. I just don't know if you could hold yourself to that standard to be at a 72% completion percentage again. And on top of that, I love Trevion Henderson. Okay. And I know it's back and forth. Ramadre's still there. I get it. However, I think last year was the see how much the kid can handle. Behind the scenes, we might not have always seen it, right? It could have been play calls. Can he handle them? Pass protection. Can he handle it? Right? Can he handle not dropping the ball? Right? When you have a veteran coach, meaning like a player's coach, an ex-player who played in Mike Vrabel, all kidding aside, that's the kind of stuff that you're sticklers for. That's the kind of stuff that you look at. So when I looked at this number, I'm saying to myself, okay, he had just call 4,400 yards last year. If he regresses, just say 400 yards, that brings down to 4,000. I don't see a world. Maybe I'm nuts. But you mean to tell me that Drake Maye is going to regress 600 yards? 600 yards. Now, do I think he's going to be a 72% completion percentage? No. I think that's going to be more like 68 to 69. Is he going to throw 31 touchdowns? No. I mean, more like 26. But dropping 600 yards? No way. No way. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You know why? Because if it ain't broke, why fix it? If it ain't broke, why fix it? So listen, what we want to think about him or not. You bring a guy in like an AJ Brown, and this ain't AJ Brown of 5 years ago. However, it's better than what you had in Stephon Diggs last year. And I can tell you just by, being here in Philly and watching him, he's on those slants, he's gold. It's friggin' gold. And he can get away. He still can get away. Still add yards onto the play. So I look at this, and I know a lot of people are going to look at the first place schedule, and they're going to. I get it, okay, but I actually think that the Patriots' offense can actually potentially be better than it was last year. Better. And if it's better, how are you going to tell me he's going to lose 600 yards? I don't see it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. So I'm buying this number. I'm buying Drake Maye number right now. Absolutely. Right? I get it. Japan, me and you we're going to disagree again. I understand. And I'll be honest with you. I am the first person that tells you I don't give a shit about the NFL schedule. I don't care. Because you know what? At the end of the day, we come out with all these metrics about how hard the schedule is going to be, how tough this team's going to be. Bro, it's friggin' preseason. Everything you're judging these teams is on paper. We have no idea how they're going to look. Okay, we have no idea how they're going to look. So that first play, that number one defense you thought you were playing in week 5 might be a 31 ranked defense. Okay, so I don't buy any of that. All I know is the evidence of 600 yards. I see, unless there's an injury, okay? And obviously we can't bet based on injuries. But unless there was an injury to Drake Maye, I do not see us dropping 600 yards. So again, I think that we are going to be, we're going to buy this play. We are going to buy this play. Let's see what happened to my camera. It just flopped out on me. Let's see if we can get it back. There we go. Now we're back. Lost a little connection there for a minute. It happens, right? Technology at its finest, but we're in. We are in. We're back. All right. But yeah, I'm buying Drake Maye. Now let's end this right here. Again, this is the BETQL Market Watch. I'm your host, Tony Jaxon. Make sure you get over to the BETQL YouTube page, like, subscribe. This is what we do. Okay, we talk betting, we talk fantasy, we talk real NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA news. Usually, we have a bunch of different segments. Getting you ready for tomorrow's bets for Major League Baseball. But tonight we want to do something specifically based on NFL because we're ramping up. We are live right here every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday at 10 p.m. Okay, we're live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday at 10 p.m. So again, make sure you tune in tomorrow night. We'll get back on the side. We'll have again a lot of MLB talk. Okay, and more NFL talk as well. But these are 5 props that we really like over here at BETQL that we're looking at from the NFL futures market. So let's get one more in here, and let's go Bijan Robinson. I'm going to tell you, quite honestly, that I think that I may like this the best out of every single number that we've talked about. I think I may like this one the best out of every single number that we've talked about. Now, you already know the way I've gushed over a Kevin Stefanski running back, okay? Bijan Robinson got paid, which, listen, he deserved to. We already knew that was coming. Last year, he had 1,470 yards. The year before, 1,456 yards. He's played all 17 games. There's no Tyler Algier anymore. They bring over B-Rob. I get it. B-Rob, all he is a third down guy and possibly change the pace to give Bijan Robinson a break. I'm looking at this number, and I'm going to tell you what. Just from watching how much Kevin Stefanski relies on the running game, how much he understands based on his quarterback play, whether it's going to be Michael Penix, whether it's going to be Tua. Okay, because that time, listen, Tua's going to start until Penix comes back. Both those guys have deficiencies. Both those guys need a controlled environment. And again, there's a reason why Devon Achane was an absolute beast in Miami. It's because the goal was get Devon Achane the friggin' ball. Whether that's through a screen pass, whether that's through a skinny post, whether that's through a run. Okay. And looking at this is absolute rushing yards. And look at the way the Atlanta offensive line is built. They're built to run the frigging ball. They need to protect their quarterback. They're going to run the ball more this year than they ran last year. Okay, that's just my opinion. I think Bijan gets over 300 touches again this year. He was at 304 in 2024, and he dropped down to 287. Okay. Again, this guy is the clear-cut number one. Okay. Again, he wants to rely on Bijan. Don't buy into the coach speak. Okay. Don't buy into the coach speak. Okay. This guy is so explosive because you'll hear him say, oh, well, we want to give him a break and we want, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. See, here's the thing. This is what you need to look at. 2023, 4.6 yards per carry. 2024, 4.8 yards per carry. 2025, 5.1 yards per carry. So even if I'm wrong and he doesn't get 300 carries and he gets 285, as long as he averages anywhere from 4.6 to 5.1, which I think he's going to be 5+ again, he's going to smash this number. He's absolutely going to smash this number. So for me, 100%, I'm buying Bijan Robinson at over 1,174 and a half rushing yards. And there you have it. That is our NFL betting futures 5 top props that you need to go in on. Okay. And when I say trash it, Josh Allen, listen, if you're betting an under, you take the under, or you just don't bet it at all. Okay. So we went 4-1. We got 4 overs, 1 under, 1 trash. We're buying into 4 of them and we're trashing 1 of them. I don't know. Maybe you're different. I'd love to hear it. Again, get in the comments. Let me know. Let me know which ones you like best. Let me know which ones you like least. Okay. Who are you buying? Who are you trashing? We'll continue to do this as the season goes on. As always, everybody, make sure you like, subscribe on that YouTube channel. And again, get your 3-day trial over there at BETQL.com. Okay. Sign up, 3-day trial. You get in that live chat. Okay. We're talking in the live chat, just like a Discord room, except it's right on the app. The app is very user-friendly. Everything right there. We're getting ready from your line movements, from your injury reports, from what book gives you the best line. Everything is right there. So get over at BETQL and check it out and get ready for the big NFL season. I'll be back tomorrow night live. Okay, talking some MLB. We'll have some live bets going on for those 10 o'clock games that we'll continue to watch. Make sure you get over at BETQL app and see what's going on with the parlays, with the votes, and with our best bet of the day. Make sure you get over to the YouTube channel because I'll bring back the market mover as well. I had little issues last week with some of the market movers. I had some technical difficulties, and I actually had some surgery in my mouth, so I couldn't constantly talk like I've been right now. So I had to take a step back for a couple days with the one segment. Okay, but we're gonna bring that back. Get over to TikTok at BETQL on TikTok because we're dropping some interesting nuggets over there as well. And just follow at BETQL on all social formats. I mean, the Instagram page is popping, the Facebook page is popping, everything's popping right now. So if you're not over at BETQL, you are being left behind. So as always, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow night.